This is Empty the Bench with Tom Albano.
Judging from the picture, which is why I was asking about it, if this was, a 911 call, say the night of the incident, and police saw that, Trevor Bauer would be in handcuffs.
Nick Morganson. The example I was going to use is that them filling up the glove is like filling up a woman for the first time. And Nick Federa.
We are not really qualified to speak on issues of consent, seeing as how and what women feel is appropriate, since the three of us, last I checked, have all the penises.
Empty the Bench starts now.
He's a dumb white man.
What? Yeah, that's right. Who are you?
Really, a dumb white man.
I was gonna say, who does this apply to? Oh wait, that's all of us. Wait a minute.
See?
Welcome everybody to episode 93 of Empty the Bench. As we're all laughing and trying to get over the intro. For Tom Albano and Nick Federa, I'm Nick Morganson. Follow the show at ETB Sports. Follow us at Empty the Bench on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Oh wait, we're not on TikTok. Maybe someday. We have an interesting story about TikTok, but we'll get to that later.
Hi, Addison Ray.
Yeah, we'll get to that later. But
all right. Yeah, I was going to say, it's quite the day for me. I got to do this show, and then I got another show, and then I have probably 7, 8, 9 hours of coverage ahead of me. So this should be fun. It's simultaneously the best and worst thing in the world, Conor McGregor Fight Week.
Maybe you can go drink some proper 12 while you're at it.
Maybe I need Dustin Poirier's hot sauce too while I'm at it. I have them both at the same time and see if I survive.
Hey, you know what? A proper 12 truck might have actually caused the highway to get shut down where I live. So, if anything, that's not that happened the other day. So, if anything, that's not completely appropriate.
By the way, hopefully everyone had a good July 4th and enjoyed the fireworks, enjoyed everything. But speaking of fireworks, we have to start in a terrible place.
So we've been having an intense debate over what to start with, and unfortunately, we have to before we get into our other stories, we have to make mention, unfortunately, of the passing of Columbus Blue Jackets goaltender Matiss Kivlenieks, I believe it's pronounced.
Kivlenieks, yes.
He was only 24 years old. Died in a fireworks-related accident, according to the Associated Press. The original report that had come out was that he had basically fallen and hit his head and died while trying to get away from a firework that basically had gone haywire. Instead, however, comes the real report a few hours later, the confirmed report that unfortunately one of these fireworks that has gone haywire hit him in the chest and caused massive trauma.
Wow.
Okay, so we need to start off first by expressing our sincere condolences to the Blue Jackets organization, to his family and his teammates. This is just
he was 24.
Tragedy, no matter what.
Yeah, he was 24, and this is what scares me about fireworks. And I've told the guys this before, that I don't even like holding sparklers because that scares the crap out of me. Because I don't want to lose a finger or get second or third degree burns from holding these sparklers. It's dangerous. That's why they say you got to be careful with fireworks.
I agree. I probably personally would never want to hold a firework. First of all, it's illegal in quite a few states, fireworks.
Wait, there's one thing here that people don't know, that they were actually in Michigan, which is a legal state.
Right. But second of all, I've just seen too many, probably not too many, but I'm a wrestling fan, so I've seen a couple of pyro mishaps happen. And considering we're here in New York, guys, may I remind you 6 years ago of Jason Pierre-Paul when a firework went off in his hand and he actually lost fingers?
Yeah, he did actually. And that was, I think that we were a little bit, how should I say this? I think we were a little bit more flippant about that than we should, considering just how, this what happened here was the worst case scenario. But
Yeah, it's scary to think that for Jason Pierre-Paul, it's kind of scary to think that he got lucky compared to
he did get lucky. I mean, he lost. He mangled his hands, but the fact that he is still alive is a gift, which he has chosen to not waste by doing fireworks safety PSAs now.
Right. And you know what? I don't understand why people, especially because we're here in New York, why people are crossing the damn border to go get freaking fireworks. It's not worth it. And first of all, just transporting fireworks in a car. Do you ever think about that too? That if like something goes awry in the car, you're going to end up in an explosive mess trying to transport them.
And it has happened. It has happened.
And trust me, I love fireworks. I just don't want to be responsible.
I do too.
I just don't want to be responsible for setting them off.
I would like to be a safe distance away from them.
By the way,
sure nobody gets hit.
And by the way, the Macy's parade and the fireworks were amazing. By the way, I don't know how they pulled off firing off the fireworks. What was it, from the Empire State Building? I mean, like,
it was computer controlled.
But I'm saying,
nobody actually lights. Yeah,
but how do you test that? That's what I wanted to know, how they did that.
I don't know. But still, that's kind of off topic. But I mean, the issue here is, could you see? I don't know if the NHL will try to insert any kind of contract language.
No.
To try and prevent something like this, because technically it was the off season. So
yeah, I was going to say technically
any restrictions they put on you don't apply anymore, right?
Yeah, the Blue Jackets. I don't think the Blue Jackets made the postseason.
No, they didn't. But
no, they didn't.
But this goes back to, I think this actually makes my case even more now, that these players or these athletes of any sport need to be more careful, because these are investments. Unfortunately, I know that sounds horrible, but these are investments for these teams.
The problem is, again, number one, it's the off season. I mean, Nick, you can't make everybody, you can't say your life is just sleep, train, eat, and then that's it.
And then
No. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that these are investments that teams are paying hundreds of millions of dollars to. You need to be a little more careful what you're doing.
But Nick, he also didn't set off the fireworks. Now, I'm looking at the report. There is no, at least according to this AP report, anything that says, if it was his friends or if there was anybody he knew. We don't know that, unfortunately.
But we do know that it wasn't. I think
he did not set off the fireworks.
That he was not the one who did it.
I don't know. I wouldn't want to. If someone said to me, you want to come over? I'm firing off fireworks. That's okay.
No,
that's okay. I don't need that.
I mean, I was gonna say. I mean, if I could be a safe distance away, far away.
If you're a safe distance away, that's fine. But
so social distancing and fireworks.
Unfortunately, the moral of the story here is that please be safe when you're firing off fireworks.
There's a reason.
This is the worst case scenario. This is what you try to avoid.
There's a reason we say be safe every 4th of July. It wasn't just this last year and this year because of COVID. It was because of stuff like this.
But why do you think the Macy's fireworks are as safe as they are? They're computerized.
They're professionally done.
They are professionally done.
You almost have to be certified to handle it.
With computer control, you have a lot more control over the height that the rockets travel and when they can actually explode.
And also,
you're a lot more accurate in those ways. But when you're lighting a fuse, you're basically just flipping a coin.
Also, they're done on boats in the water. So if, God forbid, something happens, it goes off in the water, not near somebody.
Well, regardless,
again, you're not going to. Unfortunately, this is the whole free will question, because you can't force them to not do it when it's the off season. But
regardless, it's a tragedy.
Regardless, it's still a tragedy.
And Matiss, I'd say Matiss. It's a sad death. It's a sad day in the NHL. And it was on the eve of the Lightning clinching their Stanley Cup, which we're going to get into once we get through another big story here that I think Nick is going to be going off on. But again, our hearts go out to the Columbus Blue Jackets and Matiss's friends and family. Only 24 he had a lot to look forward to.
It's an insult how young he was.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's talk about... I wish we could talk about the Stanley Cup next, but this whole story has just gotten a little haywire, let's say.
So when the media takes over the sports landscape,
that's not good.
That's not a good thing.
When we have to start, we have to have the second subject of our of our show, which is precious time. We try to make sure not a second is wasted. Then there's something brewing here.
So a story breaks the other day. Well, actually, just so people understand, this actually goes back to possibly a year ago when part of this started.
In the bubble.
And we know a lot of weird things happened in the bubble. We know that.
Like Mr. Lou Williams getting restricted because he had went to some strip club where he said he was going to order chicken wings.
Yeah, so
and that became a running joke for a couple of weeks.
It still is a running joke to us.
It still is in a lot of ways.
It's still a running joke, and you know what? I guess you can consider that a funny story. I guess at the time, but
context is necessary.
Okay.
Let's see if we can break this down.
So a story comes out. Rachel Nichols, who's been with ESPN for God knows how long, on and off for years. She was one of the big-time NBA analysts in the bubble, covering the rest of what was left of the regular season and then the playoffs. And the first controversy, because there's two here. Originally there was one, now there's two.
Well, one is confirmed, and then one there's a big rumor.
There's the big A, allegedly.
So the one that's confirmed is that Rachel Nichols apparently was having a conversation with one of the LeBron advisors. I can't remember his name. I think it was Adam.
I can't remember if it was his agent or
wasn't his agent.
One of his people, his business people, let's say.
Right. And apparently they're using this app for remote, and I looked it up. It's called TVI is the name of the remote app.
And it is LeBron James advisor Adam Mendelsohn.
That's it. Okay.
Mendelsohn. Yeah.
Right. So they're having a conversation. Apparently, and I still don't believe this. She left her TVI app on, which recorded the conversation, and it ended up in an ESPN server, which then got leaked to the New York Times, right? Or was it the Post?
Well, it got leaked. Deadspin got it first. Deadspin got it first a year ago, but they did not. They only reported on the fact that it was that her conversation was leaked. So they didn't hear the full context of it. Now, why they didn't do more reporting to find out the full context of what she said and why she said is shoddy reporting on their.
I was going to say,
anyway, so who cares?
I was going to say, that's I think because in part Deadspin's been downfall.
Yeah, it's the fake Deadspin at this point, but still, what she actually said, and it came out earlier this week in the New York Times. So Rachel Nichols, and I'm paraphrasing here because it was a bit of a long-winded conversation, but she was basically insinuating that Maria Taylor, who was also. She was a commentator on, was it Inside the NBA?
Who? Maria Taylor?
Yeah.
No, she works for ESPN.
Basically, Rachel Nichols, according to what she was saying in these controversial comments, that she was apparently asked to let Maria Taylor host the NBA Finals while Rachel Nichols does some sideline reporting a la Doris Burke.
We have the audio if we want to hear it. I have it right here if we want to hear it.
So let's see if we can get some of it to just bring the proper context to what we're saying.
So they said to me, hey, instead of posting the NBA Finals, why don't you do Doris's sideline reporter job for the NBA Finals? Because just what that would put her away for. For Maria to do the hosting for her. Yeah. So I have declined. I don't know what their next move is, but they're feeling pressure because of all of that. And I'm trying to figure out how to just, my thing is I wish Maria Taylor all the success in the world. She covers football, she covers basketball. If you need her to give her more things to do because you're feeling pressure about your crappy long-time record on diversity, which by the way I myself know personally from the female side of it, go for it. Just, find it somewhere else. You're not going to find it with me.
So what bothered me about this audio is, one, she's claiming ignorance for why it got recorded and it got leaked. That's ridiculous.
So you're saying she should have known she had left it on accidentally?
Yes. You don't.
I mean, I was gonna say. I mean, that is a shoddy job.
It's a shoddy excuse, but
that's claiming ignorance.
There's no way for anybody to definitively prove that.
Can we stop for a second? I work in the radio business. I know all about recording things beforehand. You have to know when something is accidentally going to go up to servers or not.
Right. I was going to say, I do interviews, of course. I do MMA interviews. There have been times where, I have left the recorder on for a minute or two, but thankfully it doesn't go to servers, number one. And number two, I was in the room all by myself. So I kind of know where I am. I wouldn't do that at a freaking, like a media day or something like that.
And by the way, for her to claim that it has to do with cultural and that they want to
basically insinuating that Maria Taylor got the job because she was black.
No, well, let's go even. A diversity hire is basically what she's saying.
She's basically saying you don't belong here. You're only here because of affirmative action.
Now,
which is, that is peak Karen. The only thing that would have made that better is if she asked to talk to the manager.
Jeez. But I was going to say the one thing that I might agree with her on, everything else I don't, is ESPN has a diversity problem.
Gentlemen, may I bring up the book again?
Oh wait.
Again, it was mentioned. It was mentioned in that book. Those guys have all the fun.
Oh, this book.
ESPN does have enough. They do, but for Rachel Nichols to weaponize white feminism here, to basically play the oppression Olympics, where my oppression is better than your oppression, so therefore you don't deserve anything, is just not only is it kind of racist, it's kind of insulting to Maria Taylor, because that woman has busted her ass to get where she is.
Big time. And you know what? I wrote a tweet. Usually the guys don't like when I write individual things, but I think I was actually right on this one. I think Nick read it also when I wrote it.
Yeah, because I had to check to make sure you weren't pissing anybody else off.
I'm trying to find it because I can't find it at the moment. But I essentially wrote that Rachel Nichols put herself in hot water. That
she did. I mean, the fact that you would disparage your own coworker, over nothing. And Maria Taylor did nothing to you.
No, that's right. I guess with Rachel, it's a matter of, and Nick, maybe you can help me out here. I'd say Nick Federa, because it's something I guess that has plagued the journalism. And actually, no, Nick Morrison, you may help me. The broadcast firm as well. That basically, what I have is what I have. What I have been made, what has made me is made me. It's territorial, basically.
It's very territorial. It's a zero-sum game to a lot of people. In order to succeed, somebody else has to lose, and it's mine. You can't take it away from me. It's basically a 5-year-old arguing over a.
What I'm saying, Nick Morrison, is that kind of attitude has basically plagued our industry.
It's a broadcast journalism thing. I mean, you would say that, right?
Yeah, everybody wants their jobs, and they don't want to be effed with, unfortunately, with their positions. Now, Maria Taylor has moved up the ranks in many ways, being able to host college football, being able to do NBA, being able to do different things for the network. Now, what it seems like, and this is why Rachel is being territorial, is that the company wants Maria Taylor. They think that Maria Taylor has...
They think that they want more of Maria Taylor, but it didn't have to come at the expense of Rachel Nichols. That's what Rachel Nichols didn't understand. It wasn't a zero-sum game.
So I found the tweet that I wrote, which is, I wrote, the company that I wanted to work for as a kid, ESPN, no longer is a complete dumpster fire. Rachel Nichols was out of line with comments about Maria Taylor. Rachel needs to be held accountable for her actions. Unfortunately, needs to be fired.
And it's being profoundly selfish that you're disparaging somebody. You're disparaging somebody's work. It's like, yeah, you can have yours, just not at the expense of me.
Okay.
I'm not going to stick my neck out to help you.
So we had this controversy, which is bad enough. Now we're about to cross another line. Now this portion of it, as you see here, rumor. There is no confirmation that this has happened. However, there is a lot of speculation. So this must be addressed. So
there's a lot that needs to be broken down in this story, because if this is true, if this is proven to be true, we have a lot of issues, whether it's ethical, emotional, or whatever.
Right. I was gonna say, if this second part proves to be true, even if the first controversy with Maria Taylor never happened, Rachel Nichols would still be in very hot water.
Now, excuse me, Rachel's been married for 8 or 9 years.
Correct.
Yes.
And it comes out that there's a story. Now, ironically, we talked about the story about the Miami Heat. They had a protocol violation. If most people remember, inside the bubble, Jimmy Butler got in trouble.
And we did not know what it was at the time.
All we had heard was there may have been someone in his room.
Well, the irony might have come out, because there is a rumor going around that Rachel Nichols was in Jimmy Butler's hotel room in the bubble.
Now, I don't know if I'm going to put that much stock into this, because it does sound like the timing of that coming out with this is a little suspect. Besides, there are plenty of other things you can call Rachel Nichols out on, and calling her a philanderer is. Yeah,
but Nick, if this is true, her career is over.
Oh, absolutely. But I don't know if Jimmy Butler's not saying anything. Nobody else is saying anything. So
do I have to point out that there was audio apparently that came out in the bubble that Karl Anthony Towns made a Rachel Nichols joke while they were playing on the court?
Yeah. Well, again, we don't know whether that was actually true, or does he know something we don't?
But come on, that's an ethical crossover from church.
No. What Nick is saying,
we have a rule against an SPJ.
What Nick is saying is basically we can't confirm this, so we don't know. We can't put as much stock. We can't put as much stock into it as the Maria Taylor one.
However, we have a smoking gun.
The smoking gun. However, if this is true, then Rachel Nichols has not only violated. If this comes true, not only has she violated ethical concerns when it comes to the Maria Taylor situation, she has violated ethical concerns from a journalism standpoint of basically having a relationship with one of your subjects. That is damning.
Well, what I don't get is we talk about all the biggest insiders in all of sports, whether that's Adrian Wojnarowski for the NBA, Adam Schefter, Rachel Nichols. Who else am I leaving out? Ariel Helwani. Not that I'm saying he would ever do this, but I'm just saying people question these big name insiders, how they got all these connections and all these things. Would you agree that sometimes happens?
Correct.
Yeah, actually, that happens increasingly more often.
But I'll give an example. I'll give it a UFC example. So Megan O'Leary, she's one of the Octagon reporters. You've seen her on ESPN. She's married to a UFC fighter, to Joe Benavidez, one of the flyweights. The rule is when Benavidez, fights, you don't see O'Leary around.
Right. That's the same. That was some of the issues you see, like that happened with an umpire in Major League Baseball. I can't remember who it was, but these ethical issues that you run into, like with family members being a part of
family, husband, wife, anything like that.
That's happened more often than I can remember than it used to in the past. Like, I don't know. But Rachel crossed the line regardless with the Maria Taylor thing, but her career will be in the toilet, flushed down the toilet, if this second part is true.
Like I said, it's pretty much, if it's true, it's pretty much she violated every single standard that we have that they made us memorize it.
At the Society of Professional Journalists, yeah.
Yeah, Society of Professional Journalists.
Can I throw a question out there? If this story proves to be true, does Jimmy Butler then also have to serve like a suspension or something for a moral violation? I agree.
Absolutely. And I think he should be suspended. And they need to make a landmark suspension out of this. And
honest to God, I can't really feel like I can't really feel like I'm going to put a lot of stock in this story, because a lot of it seems like gossip mongering. But again, I've been proven wrong on these things, so I'll keep an open mind.
The other issue that we're not talking about here is the ethics of ESPN.
ESPN has caused this situation for itself. We said this.
No, but I'm saying, like, so we had the Paul Pierce situation. Now we have a Rachel Nichols situation. We're not even talking about another situation where Maria's contract is up on July 20th.
So you might have to lose Rachel Nichols to firing, or at least a very long suspension. Maria Taylor's contract is up, and she may not stick around. You already lost.
I wouldn't.
You already lost Ariel Helwani, who was going to be up and coming because of all the pay cuts and everything. So add these names to all the people like Kenny Mayne and all these guys who have just been let go. Right, hey guys, for a local angle here in New York, Ryan Ruocco. I mean, what if the Yankees come offering the radio job if Sterling retires? They might lose Ruocco. This is not good. ESPN is losing a lot of talent.
This is definitely not good. And Jamel Hill was the one who said, yes, ESPN does have a diversity problem.
Well, here's the thing about Jamel Hill. When she is saying, when somebody like Jamel Hill is more pointing the finger at ESPN and talking about their culture problem rather a race problem with Rachel Nichols, you have a big problem on your hands.
You have a problem when they're saying, "Oh yeah, what she said is terrible," but she does kind of
have a point.
She does kind of have a point. The worst person just made a great point. What onion are?
You really want to check out a really well done interview, which is the one you're talking about. Go listen to Dan Levitard's show with Stugat's podcast. They nailed this issue to a T. Usually, Levitard was restrictive. He couldn't talk about the ESPN issues because he was working at ESPN. Go check it out. They really nailed this to a T. So did Jamel. So did Amin Al-Hassan, which I don't know why Amin Al-Hassan went after Wojnarowski. That was a whole nother issue. But there's a diversity issue at ESPN. And like I said, and I'll finish it off on this. When I was a kid, I dreamed of working at ESPN one day. I will never go and work for a company that has diversity issues. Ever.
Nick, you're talking about diversity issues? I think it's more than diversity issues. I think it's a culture. Guys, I bring up the book again. When they say it's a fraternity, they actually mean more of it's like one of those college fraternities.
It's a college fraternity with... It's basically toxic masculinity, personified. Machismo no bueno.
And because we might have some MMA people watching here, some of my colleagues, because it's UFC 264 guy day, and anybody says they were shocked by the Ariel, what was going on with Ariel. You guys think it's an MMA issue? My friends, you are missing. You have to see what's going on at ESPN.
And by the way, when Ariel said in his video, Ariel's actually gotten me to watch some MMA stuff, so I respect him in that regard. But when he said, and I didn't believe it 100%, when he said that, it was, what do they say when you walk away? A mutual.
No hard feelings.
Right. I don't know if I believe that 100%.
I kind of do, because it's one person, but just because one person had a mutual, no hard feelings doesn't mean, everybody.
If you wanted him bad enough, you would have given him the money.
Right. But guys, what have we talked about? As much as ESPN has a care for, the people, who the broadcasters and analysts, what do they care more about?
Games.
Money!
Like the money, the games, the content. That's what they care about.
Well, ESPN is in the garbage dump business. That's what I would refer to them as now.
A popsicle stick with googly eyes calling the game?
They would.
You know what? Instead of listening to the actual people, I think they would actually take a popsicle stick, and if it said, all right, bad luck, okay, now we're going to make pay cuts. I think they listen more to a popsicle stick than they listen to what the fans want.
Not that
a magic 8-ball. Should we make cuts? Decidedly, yes.
Wait a minute. Magic 8-ball, should I cut? Well, try again later. No!
Shove that popsicle stick up your ass.
I had a water bottle right now. I'd throw it over my shoulder.
All right, guys, let's give some respect to the Tampa Bay Lightning because they dominated the Stanley Cup. They are once again your Stanley Cup champions. Actually, the first time since the end of the 80s that a repeat champion is not named the Penguins or I believe it's the Penguins or the Red Wings. Yeah.
The Red Wings or the Kings.
By the way, I heard that their sellout numbers were insane. Like they had a sellout streak going.
Yep. Well, I mean, they're in Florida where basically there are no restrictions. So,
well, they're in Florida where hockey goes to die sometimes also.
Guys, I think that's probably one of the bigger stories. Not just let me talk about the games first. So obviously in game 1, absolute destruction, 5-1, complete. The third period, the Lightning just came out firing 3 goals, 3-1 win in game 2, a 6-3, another dominant win in game 3. Just absolute destruction in the all throughout because it was 2-1, each period, so total 6-3. July 5th in game 4, Shea Weber was the luckiest man on the planet. When he got that double minor, he was penalized for the double minor, the high stick with the blood coming down. That I thought that was going to be it, but somehow the Canadians survived that shorthandedness and got an overtime goal. But then the Lightning, and I give hats off to Carey Price because he played his best in game 5. But
Vasilevsky was that much better. He was
not just that, but his team, his offense kind of let him down. Prices.
Yeah, they did, and that's why the Canadians really didn't make an impression on me when I was making my predictions for this series because
I thought, Nick, and you agreed, we thought it was going to be the Vegas or it was going to be Colorado.
Yeah, it was going to be Vegas or it was going to be Colorado. I mean, and to be honest with you, the fact that the Canadians got as far as they did, that's nothing to be
no. Especially in this really weird season, because think about it. If this season, was actually a regular season, the Canadians, this was East versus East. There was no West Conference.
Yeah, there was no Western Conference, and you were playing in front of no fans when you were in Canada.
Well,
so
I heard
it to be tough on them.
I heard a story also that apparently the teams were having trouble getting family and stuff over the border.
Because remember, the border was only open to the athletes. Now, we don't know what's going to happen next NHL season. We still don't know if the athletes are going to get the excuse or not, or if the border is going to be closed again. We don't know if the playoff format is going to return to what it was, especially when you guys consider we're about to have a 32nd team. Seattle is about to enter the league. So there's been rumors that this format, this top 4 teams in each division, it may stay even if we go back to the regular NHL season, how it was.
It's like what the NBA is doing with that stupid 4-team
play-in tournament and all the all the changes the NBA wants to make with seeding.
And now they're talking about putting in a mid-season tournament in the NBA. What's next? Is the NHL going to hold a mid-season tournament too?
I don't know. But I want to know.
On the Barkley.
Well, remember. I don't. Is the NHL going to allow its players in the Olympics again? Or
I don't know if anybody's going to go.
I didn't even hear the NHL.
No, what I'm saying, Nick. What I'm saying is, like in 2018, if you remember, the NHL actually forbade their players from.
Well, that was a players' union issue, probably. That was probably a player. But
players are going to be allowed in the 22 and 26 Olympics. So what I'm saying is, like, the NHL allows a mid-season break in Olympic years and for these players to go play in the Olympics.
The weird thing is, just to give an example, right after the NBA Finals, they're heading straight off to Tokyo right after that.
Well, I think most of the team, if not all of Team USA and all of them, aren't Phoenix Suns or.
There's at least 2 Phoenix Suns and at least 2 Bucks. At least.
Oh wow, okay, but it's not most of the team. So.
Right, but I'm just saying, like, there's no break because of the way everything fell.
You're right. You're right. But the
the
NBA season's over, guys. If you remember, baseball and softball lost their Olympic eligibility for a time because the IOC wanted a mid-season break in MLB to allow the MLB stars to come over, and the MLB said no.
Yeah, because Major League Baseball doesn't do that. They have a week for the All-Star game, and that's it. Because if you sit these guys too long in Major League Baseball, it doesn't work. Like,
but the bigger story here, guys, before we go, because we got to mention it, guys. Tampa Bay, what a freaking story! So within 1 year, within the span of 1 year,
you had Tom Brady leading them to a championship, and you have the Lightning repeating.
Yeah, the Lightning winning 2 guys. the Rays winning an AL pennant. And I mean, even some credit in the NBA because Tampa got chosen for Toronto to play, right?
Right.
Yeah, they did.
What a year for Tampa Bay sports.
And on top of that, Tampa making the World Series.
It's probably the best stretch of, professional sports that I've ever seen played in Florida.
And the Buccaneers are a favorite for the Super Bowl again.
Well, because everybody returned. They said it was the first time.
And they will continue to be. But that being the case, I mean, the Lightning absolutely deserved this one. I mean, I'm happy for Ryan Callahan.
Right. It was the first time, first of all, in NFL history that all, 38 or 39 players returned back.
Yeah.
And it's ironic. They were saying that everywhere Tom Brady goes, it seems like all the teams win. That was a joke that was going around also.
Right.
Yeah, he's like Johnny Appleseed, but, less nutritious.
All right, guys, we have a few more stories we got to get into quickly. So MLB basically has stated that it is doing the Trevor Bauer investigation. I believe actually
another 7 days.
I told you that was going to happen, right? They're just going to keep repeating the 7 days until the end of time.
You know what they should say? They should just make it an indefinite suspension until they figure out what's going on with it.
It basically is. It's just, I guess, how they got to go.
It's like, okay, I'm not putting you under house arrest. I'm just locking you in here. I'm closing all the windows.
And then
armed guard around your head, around your house 24/7. And I'm not allowing you to leave, but I'm not putting you into house arrest.
I was gonna say, as like a day 6, day 6 and everything's nearly about to end. No, just a little longer. Just a little longer.
Can I get an extension? It's like a high schooler asking for an extension on a biology report.
Wait, you mean that they're trying to dodge a situation? Oh,
I don't know about that. I mean, MLB's doing an investigation, and as the story states,
they would rather not piss the Dodgers off.
They would like to talk to Trevor Bauer, and they would like to talk to the woman.
Rob Manfred wants to talk to Trevor Bauer. Remember, because with these issues, it's him. It's not Major League Baseball. Because when it's something he doesn't like, it becomes Major League Baseball.
Guys, but it's very ironic that you say that, considering Rob Manfred seems to hate baseball.
Yeah, considering he's trying to actively destroy baseball from the inside out. I mean, this seems like a good place to start.
No, you know what? MLB.
I can guarantee you the suspension, if there is any kind of punitive measure, nobody's going to be happy with it.
MLB must leave baseball.
Baseball leaves itself.
But I don't get it. It's just one of those things that makes you scratch your head. The Dodgers were going to put him out there on Sunday, and Major League Baseball said, no, you can't do that.
Nick. Again, because as much as the right thing to do was to have, sat him, he is their big free agent star. They were not going to do that.
They were not going to do that. And as far as your confusion goes, I mean, welcome to being an MLB fan in 2021. Get in line, actually. They say every 15 feet they give you a cookie.
Well, no, or they give you cam soda so that they can make $100,000 a person.
As long as you drop your trousers.
Wait a minute. We can get Pepsi. We can get Viagra. We can get any sponsor to get behind that at this point.
Yeah, Pepperidge Farm, too.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, guys. One more serious story here. So Japan, well, when we gave the video promo that actually went up yesterday, we had recorded earlier in the week. They were saying that a state of emergency was going to be declared and will start in the coming days, which actually it still will. At the time, however, we only knew that there was a possibility that the Olympics would be held without spectators. Well, over the past couple of days, I believe on Thursday, it has been confirmed the 2020 Olympics, which actually takes place in 2021 in Tokyo, will be held with no fans in attendance whatsoever.
Hey, Nick, did you call the IOC? Maybe they actually listened to you this time.
Considering what I've said about the IOC, I'm pretty sure they arrived at that conclusion without me. But, I'll take credit for it anyway, because really, they are basically just a mountain layer away from being Bond villains anyway.
No, I think you definitely had some kind of robotic hypnosis.
I mean, if I could get the Prime Minister of Japan to listen to me, I would try to build some kind of high-tech, high-speed rail between Japan and here, but, nobody ever answers those letters. I'm complaining about COVID.
Wait, Nick. For that idea, just talk to Elon Musk. He probably tried to do something with it.
Oh yes, and I get there sometime within the next 150 to 200.
And you know what? He'll fund it with Dogecoin.
I'll
Probably.
fund it with Dogecoin, and it'll end up being made of balsa wood. Fantastic.
You know what? Dogecoin, and then our favorite Benchcoin.
Still, the point being, look, Japan. The last time, now far be it from me to clown on somebody's vaccination rate, considering that we as a country cannot crack 50%. And considering that the Delta variant is now tap dancing on unvaccinated communities in this country, and we don't know who to listen to about what we should do about whether getting a booster or not, considering the state of confusion that we as Americans are in, confusion and selfish belligerence that we find ourselves in at this moment. However, 5% fully vaccinated when you're hosting the Olympics? 5%?
Wait a minute. I'm going to ask my Magic 8 Ball. Magic 8 Ball, should we hold the Olympics? Try again later. Oh, okay.
Well, the thing is that was the response we got last year.
Yeah, yes. Try again later, and they're going to try again later and later and later.
Well, no, because the IOC guys, we're 10. As much as we think that they should be canceled, think about it. It's 10 days away. The IOC is just going to be like, what's our favorite, guys?
Hear no evil, speak no evil.
Can I make my statement about what I said to you guys before, what I thought's going to happen at the Olympics, or was that too much?
I mean,
you would rather not have an athlete come back sick?
No.
You want to try to avoid that?
That's not what I said.
You might as well say it.
So I said to the guys that what's going to happen is that all these athletes are going to go over to Japan where we have a 4 to 5% vaccination rate. And the IOC is going to end up with blood on their hands because an athlete is going to die during the Olympics.
And to wit, I will say yes, they will, but will they care? No, that's where we differ.
I will. Then I'll say what I said, Nick. If that happens, the IOC should stop the games mid games, and not only that, I didn't say if that is what's going to happen. I'm saying what should happen is they should cancel mid games. And then not only that, but they should also forget about the 22 winter games, which are going to be in China, which the games in China is going to be a controversy all of its own in the COVID era.
You're basically going to be variant dodging as long as this virus continues to make its way around the world. Variants being what they are.
Well, I was just going to say, especially when, in a COVID era, and we talk about COVID in China, oh boy.
That is its own different can of
worms.
Well, forget it. I mean, you had LeBron James in China. Now you're going to have sickness in China,
and the Olympics in China.
Whether and I still don't think they're responsible for it. But that's neither here nor there. The issue here is the IOC really shouldn't have been holding these games at all.
No.
You can just skip it. And then come back when everybody's
especially Nick,
they would money out of their pocket.
Nick, especially when you consider, we made the decision 10 days now, or even a little more than 10 days before. All of a sudden, now we're not going to have spectators at the Olympics, guys. This is going to be awkward as all hell. Watching an MLB game where everything's fine. We have vaccinated people at the games, or we had those pods at the unvaccinated, and then we turn to the Olympic and it's just empty arena. Guys, baseball's
flashback to March 2020 all over again.
Right. Guys, baseball is going to make its big Olympic comeback for a one-off. Softball is going to make a one-off. Skateboarding, karate are all going to debut, and silence.
And you know what the problem is? Not getting that. Now, I don't know whether the low vaccination rate in Japan is because
we don't know Japan's.
I really don't know the situation here, so I'm not going to judge. But the IOC should have been able to step in and help with that.
What
the
IOC?
You think the IOC is going to help with something?
You have the infrastructure to help people get vaccinated.
The IOC is a corrupt organization from the highest step to the lowest.
I know. I know. They make Sepp Blatter and FIFA look like they make them look like choir boys. To be honest with you.
Wow.
But still, I just feel like this was patently avoidable. Yet commerce, once again, as commerce often does, take precedence over human health and human life.
But who's going to want to watch the Olympics when there's nobody watching in person? How awkward that's going to be.
And this is what happens. And this is the consequence, cause and effect.
No, I was going to say, I'll still I'm excited for karate. I'll still watch that. I'll still watch baseball and stuff, but it's a disappointment. It's a disappointment all around.
You know what? Anything that can prevent the Delta variant from ravaging Japan and putting up a body count in the tens of thousands, anything that can avoid needs to be anything that can avoid that outcome needs to be taken to avoid that outcome.
And the weird thing is I think they're playing up to Japan and China because they built all these facilities and they don't want to waste their money. I think that's part of the issue. But again, when you have a virus that's killing hundreds of millions of people,
use them to stage fake Mario Kart tournaments. Come on.
That'd be fun. All right, guys. So remember when we talked about a possible merger between the XFL and the Canadian Football League, and they denied the report? Well, it turns out there actually were talks, and those talks have now fallen through.
But now there are no talks.
So as
far as we know, the Canadian Football League is going to be having a 2021 season.
Yeah, after having its season in 2020 canceled because of COVID. We heard about the Canadian Football League that there was all sorts of money issues, that they needed $100-something million just to have a season last season, which they couldn't get, but now they will. And now the XFL, which, if you remember now, is owned now by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and his little ownership group. That comeback has now been delayed to 2023.
How do you think Vince McMahon feels right about now?
Probably laughing all the way to the bank. Probably.
Because not only did that fail twice, but Dwayne Johnson, one of my old wrestlers, he all of a sudden thinks he can run a football league.
Well, he might do it better than Vince McMahon.
Well, I was saying, remember Dwayne Johnson before he was a movie star, and before he was a wrestler.
Didn't he play in the CFL?
I think he had a stint in the CFL, but bigger than that, he was a University of Miami player. He was one of the big championship teams.
So he knows football.
Wasn't he part of that? Wasn't he part of that famous movie thing also that they did on Miami football? Also, I think. Yeah, I thought maybe he was part of that. Wasn't he?
I don't know. They mention him. I do know they mention him, but
all I can say is that this is a business nightmare. Written all over. Everyone should just let the XFL die of slow death, like Vince McMahon, who's dying of slow death, and just let it go.
Why do we let these things keep happening? It's like doing a reboot of a movie no one saw.
It's the old cliche: money talks and money walks.
All right, guys. One last thing we got to mention here. So Joey Chestnut has set a hot dog eating world record.
Did he set it? We don't know if he actually said it.
We don't actually have confirmation.
There's no proof. If there's no proof, we don't know if it happened.
It didn't happen.
All right. So let me kind of set the stage a little bit. So for those of you who are probably too busy enjoying your own hot dogs and festivities on the 4th of July, we, of course, had the annual hot dog eating competition in which Joey Chestnut once again won. He once again set another world record with 76 hot dogs and buns eaten in 10 minutes. How does that sound for you?
Ugh.
Like a nightmare incarnate.
By the way, most people don't know this. You know you have to hold that down for 2 hours after it's over?
Yep. No reversal of fortune, as they say.
But you wouldn't have been able to see it because ESPN, their feed cut out in the time when he tied the record and when he ate the last one to break it. So, congratulations.
Yeah, here's what the screen looked like as the record was being set.
It was literally a blank blue screen.
Credit to at Mike Bentley on Twitter, Stuntman Mike, for this photo here. And that's it. It wasn't the first time they had technical difficulties during that feed because They had it a couple of times in the 10 minutes, but it wasn't anything like, in the last 15 seconds when he's about to tie and break his own world record.
You get the blue screen of death at a time when you're supposed to have it on.
Wait a minute.
I wouldn't want to be the technical director that day.
It sounds like a bad version of Xbox with the 3 rings of death.
Yeah, the red ring of death. But And having done a bit of technical directing when I was in college, that is one of the most pressure-filled jobs you can have in live TV production.
It's hard. I did it too.
And I screwed up on a practice run, and I spent the next 10 minutes after we were finished banging my head against the console.
Guys, that technical difficulty, the last 15 seconds where it cuts off the winning moment, the director was probably screaming in the truck.
Get it up. They're probably choking him too.
Just add that to the list of ESPN difficulties. I think that goes all the way back to when Bill Simmons was working with ESPN, and he's making the statement about how the Heat won the championship and talking about the decision, and the feed just cuts off in the middle of it. And people thought that was ESPN doing it. Nope, it was just them with technical feed issues on television. It would have been better. It would have been better if they had said that it was them cutting it off purposely than issues.
If there's one thing I can say to just sum all it up, I would not want to be Joey Chestnut's colon right now.
Ugh.
Hey, guys.
What?
Guys, I think we just have to sum it up in one sound effect.
Yep.
We do have time for one more story, though, if we want to go to it.
Okay. Yeah, if you want to mention it. So,
we talked about how ESPN is an F-up, and they don't know everything from cultural diversal issues to
just technical stuff, technical producing stuff.
The day-to-day operations of being a sports broadcaster.
To now we have issues in the UFC. So
I'll let you explain it.
Yeah, you can have fun with this one.
So I find out I'm on social media perusing Twitter, and you know how that can be quite dangerous at times. And I find a tweet from Addison Rae. Now, for most people who are over the age of 20 or less are not going to understand who Addison Rae is. She is and I hate to say this because I think it's incredibly dumb and stupid, a professional TikToker or influencer, however you want to call it.
So
it's really bad. And then I see a picture. You know those boards that people stand in front of when they go to an event?
Like the red carpet.
Like the red carpet. And I see she's standing in front of a UFC board. And she tweets out the picture and says, I studied broadcast journalism in college for 3 whole months to prepare for this moment. I'm going to let the UFC MMA guy respond first to this.
Okay. So you guys had asked me if this was, any of Dana White's doing. I'll repeat my answer, which is he probably, approved of it, but this is not his biggest priority. His biggest priority is the matchmaking and how many pay-per-view buys he's going to have tonight.
But you really think she's going to bring in pay-per-view buys?
It's not about, no, Nick, it's not about pay-per-view buys with her. With her it's to show, it's to get their presence on TikTok even bigger. Hey, kids, how do you do, fellow kids?
How do you do, fellow kids, with your ticking and your talking?
But that's not the demo. That's not the UFC demo.
But they want to appeal to just about anybody they can. They want to appeal to anybody they can.
They want to try. I mean, JoJo Siwa's got a breakfast cereal, and I don't know who the hell she is.
She's another influencer. But
still, the entire point, 3 whole months. Really, 3 whole months.
No, Nick, the point you want to make is that influencers have taken over the world. That's what's happening.
Yeah, basically.
And
anybody can be an influencer. You can be talking to a fire hydrant, and you can say you're an influencer. Hey, because the fire hydrant did what I told him to do.
And Tom might not like this next statement I'm going to make, but I'm going to make it anyway, which is Dana White is a hack and is only in it for clicks and views.
And you're just learning this now?
Nick Federa, now that you just say that, I'm now going to start a podcast where all I do is just talk to a fire hydrant.
Hey, we can make it part of our network of podcasts.
It would be interesting.
Hey, you know what? If that gets us views and sponsorships and stuff, maybe we have a chance.
It's like a Scotsman arguing with an angry it's like a Scotsman arguing with an empty room.
But you know what? I was insulted by this. I would hope that you two being in journalism and me being a broadcaster.
I say, I'm not so sure if the word is insulted. I just feel very, very depressed.
I feel old. I feel old. I feel depressed, and I feel like I'm just feeling a lot of things right now, and I'm feeling bitterness. I feel salty. I feel.
You forgot to say.
Do I sound bitter because I feel it?
Nah, not at all. But I was going to say that what she should have said at the end of the statement was, "Oh, I'm an influencer, so I get whatever I want."
Then again, it's TikTok and it's UFC joining forces. It's like integrity is not to be found in this neck of the woods.
Now, people are going to say to me, "Oh, you're jealous because you're not an influencer." No, I don't want to be an influencer. I don't need every second of my life.
I give bullshit advice to 14-year-olds and they won't listen to it.
All I just want is for my hard work to pay off. That's all.
If our podcast can get somewhere and we could do this, I'm okay with that. I don't need to be an influencer like Addison Rae or Bryce Hall or any of these dumb names that I've figured out because I was learning about the TikTok world.
Sure you didn't make up a couple of those names? Because a couple of those names sound a little made up.
Or the Paul brothers. Does that name make more sense to you? Fine, we'll go with the Paul brothers. Okay, so I'm just tired of this influencing world where I don't want every second of my life followed. I took a shit and I put it on social media and it got 7 million downloads. Okay?
We really sound like old farts now.
Yes, excuse me, I need to go get my cane, my Metamucil, and I'm going to go play some shuffleboard. If
All right,
I'm gonna watch Murder, She Wrote.
No, you're gonna watch NCIS.
Hey, I like NCIS.
That woman with the hat is on the Jag, the program with the thing. I can't remember his name.
All right, guys, before we wrap up, I need to cheap plug UFC 264 preview show. You know the one where I do it with Mr. According to Woods. That's going to be on the my YouTube channel at Albano MMA, 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 1:30 Pacific, about a half hour from now. And you know what? Just because I want to get us involved, this podcast involved, I will simulcast an audio feed on Twitter Spaces. We have never used Twitter Spaces before, so you know what? I'm going to be the first to try it. So join me.
It's going to be our first experimental chimp shot into space.
Exactly.
Godspeed, monkey.
So
hopefully that doesn't go bananas, though.
So join me and According to Woods you could do it on our YouTube channel, on my YouTube channel, Albano MMA, or alternatively, if you just want the audio, join us on Twitterverse. On Twitter Spaces. But that's going to do it for this edition of Empty the Bench. Follow us on our social medias all across on the screen here. Don't forget to follow us and subscribe to us here on Twitch. But that is going to do it for Nick Morganson, Nick Padera. I'm Tom Albano. Signing off. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.